What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Brutally Speaking podcast. I am your host, John, and this episode's guests are A Static Lullaby. Honestly, I have been after these guys for almost the entirety of the show's existence, dating all the way back to when I was fortunate enough to get Steve Evans on the podcast. And at the end, when we were done recording, I was like, dude, do you have any like contact info for any of the dudes or like anything? Because like I really want to have them on the show. And it just took like almost a decade. But I've never raced so fast to reply to an email that came across my inbox than when the And Don't Forget to Breathe live album was announced and all that kind of stuff. I was like, please let me get anybody. And the cool part is initially I was told I was only getting Joe. And then to my surprise, when I locked in to do the episode, the whole band was there, and it felt essentially like kind of like being on the Good Guys Bad Band podcast that they do, where it just kind of devolves into like in jokes and just having fun and riffing and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed this one, and we kind of cover a lot of ground. Subsequently, I do know that the band has been doing a couple other podcasts. I've seen some clips since this. We did this one where people are asking some of the same questions, like why a live album and not just a re-record and all that kind of stuff. So apologies to maybe longtime A Static Lullaby fans who are going to hear some rehashed questions, but kind of the nature of when you're in this press junket, sometimes you don't know what other people are going to ask, and hopefully you kind of find your own way through and to the question. But I really enjoyed this one, and want to thank the guys so much for taking the time to chat with me. And honestly, there's a part toward the end of this that, I mean, spoilers, kind of caught me a little off guard in the honesty of the band now. That Faso Latino album, that they're not fans of it, the process of it, and all that kind of stuff. So, and kind of spoilers again, like you're going to kind of hear maybe some ideas to rectify that, 21 years later. But this is kind of an interesting phase, I think, for me, for the band. And I think to be a fan of this band where, they're not trying to make it a career anymore and just being honest with what they want. And I know that's what a lot of bands do. I know that's where a lot of bands say they are when they're kind of in the throes of their careers and so forth. But I mean, even very recently, I just saw like a clip from Ben from Nothing More talking about a B-side that ended up happening because the label, when they submitted their the record at the time, the label was like, we don't hear the single, like just go back and keep writing. And there was just this back and forth of like, well, here's this song, and it's like, oh, that's not it. Well, how about this one? Oh, it's not that one either. And this sort of thing that happens where it's like you're trying to create this thing unnaturally to appease somebody who's trying to market it to be this big thing. And then ultimately, usually what happens is whatever the band kind of thought was going to be the single, or was like, hey, we think this would be a great lead-off single for the record or whatever, more oftentimes usually is. And the label then is like, oh, well, I guess we had it the whole time. And you just kind of were forced to do this unnatural thing. So kind of just thinking about being young, your first record does really well. And, the expectations now that are on you. And then it's like, well, we don't hear something of like, And Don't Forget to Breathe. Like, we don't hear this song. And I just always think that's such a weird thing that like a label or an A&R person would do, is just to kind of be like, yeah, well, it doesn't sound like that other thing. And it's like, well, I'm not that same person that I was 2 years ago when I wrote that. Also, I had all the time in the world to write that first one. Now you're pressuring me to spit out something in 3 months. Like, go fuck yourself. And ironically, actually, as I've been working to try to get these episodes out, because I got a couple more in the can, my job is kind of made me think that way, where it's like I'm just stressing so much to get work done, and I feel like I'm behind, and I have to live up to this expectation that I guess I'm putting on myself, but is also, it's my job, and a product or a certain amount of something is expected out of me. And it almost seems like no one is, you get lip service of like for a backstory real quick. We essentially got a whole new operating software at my job. No one knows how to use it, and nothing is working the way it's supposed to be, or it was said to do And essentially, we are just constantly running into, and it seems to be me, constantly finding all the bugs in the system that don't allow us to do the thing that we're supposed to do. And then you have to wait for someone to either troubleshoot it or fix it or work around it or something else. And meanwhile, in my department, we are the lifeblood of the company that literally feeds everybody some type of work. And so everyone just feels like they're like, I know you're really struggling right now, and I know things are hard, but I just really need you to do these like 17 things today for me. And you're like, I can't, man. Like, the pressure is a lot. Like, even today, I walked away at 4:30. I didn't give it any extra time to clock in, stay clocked in, and do extra work. I didn't take the laptop home with me. I just was like, I'm fucking done today. Like, I'm done. Mentally, everything spent, done. I'm out of here. And it's been kind of rough because, like, I really want to get these podcast episodes out. I really want to, like, get things done, but it's hard finding that balance. And in that, knowing that part of what we discuss is sort of that, the struggle of, like, being in a touring band and having to come up with a product and just the behind the scenes stuff. It's like, I've really kind of been thinking about that this week, where I'm like, fuck, man, like, I don't know how people are just expected to be able to turn on this thing and just produce results. Like, it's just so unnatural most of the time, especially in some sort of creative thing, which my job is not, but it's still a thing where they just expect you to be somehow able to turn on something, get everything done, spit out a product, and then make everyone happy with it. And you're like, that's not reasonable. But I'm going to get off my little soapbox there about my job and how hard it is and the struggles I'm having doing it at times. And we're going to start wrapping up the intro so I can get you into the episode and get on with your day. If you'd like to keep up with A Static Lullaby, it is simple enough. staticlullaby.net is the landing page for everything that you would possibly want to know and the going-ons with that band. And if you would like to keep up with the band on socials, Static Lullaby on Facebook and A Static Lullaby _official on Instagram. I did not find any other socials. There is no other socials on staticlullaby.net to follow. And then, like I said, follow the Good Guys Bad Band podcast. I have been thoroughly enjoying trying to make my way through. I listened to the first episode, like I said, which was around Super Bowl time, which was... I went back and re-listened to it, and I realized there was a lot I was not paying attention to, which happens quite a bit for me, trying to binge these things in like 15, 20-minute intervals during like lunch breaks and stuff. I just kind of forget things. But currently making my way through it, I thoroughly enjoyed. If you even enjoy what you're hearing, it's that times 10, since they're a lot more comfortable and more familiar with each other versus a stranger asking them questions. And if you like keep up with me, you can find me at BREWtallyspeaking@gmail.com. If you have any guest suggestions, rate, review, subscribe, you know why that is important. Brew Speak Pod on all your major social media platforms of choice. And huge thanks to our sponsors, Rockabilia. Head on over to rockabilia.com, use our code BREWtally at checkout, take 10% off your total purchase order. I have been seeing, I don't know if you guys have, I've been seeing that Deftones hoodie with the orange writing on it. I almost shouldn't tell you this because I don't want anyone else to get it before me. I don't need another hoodie. I have so many hoodies, but this hoodie is so fucking dope and I need it, and I am going to get it very soon. So support them for supporting the show. And please support A Static Lullaby in whatever way that looks like for you, whether it's streaming the albums on whatever DSPs you use, going and checking a live show when the band's out on their tour in July with I Promise the World. Any way that you can support the band, please do, because I enjoy the fuck out of having A Static Lullaby still around. Looking forward to the new music, and without further ado, let's get into my conversation with A Static Lullaby. I'll see you all next time. So, kind of as I was saying before we hit record, I kind of off the cuff a lot of this. I actually just jotted a lot of bullshit down because I did that with Steven from Haste the Day, where I just kind of, at the end, I was thinking about questions I would want to ask, and instead of being precious about trying to create a linear narrative of just being like, fuck it, just off the cuff and go. And I think that's going to usually leads to more fun because it's not, so rigid. But let's start with a really painfully obvious question, because I always think these things are kind of interesting to start picking apart. Instead of just doing a, re-record, remaster, all that kind of stuff, how did you land on doing a live album to kind of celebrate, 20 plus years of your first album?
You want me to get it?
Yeah, get it why we started it.
initially why we decided to do the live album?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why a live album over just like a re-record or remaster or something?
We um we were working really hard to get the rights to our vinyl,
To press vinyl.
to press vinyl. So I got in contact. It took me forever to find out where it was at Columbia, at Sony, and then I realized it moved over to a thing called Legacy at Sony Records, and got in contact with all these people asking, hey, because I know that they allow certain artist rights where you can, they'll allow you to press a certain amount if you're the artist type of deal. There's certain like licensing things there, but we wanted to obtain the licensing for the rights to get the vinyl. That being said, a lot of people, and this happened back to back, where these companies, and I'm going to say this just in general, is that we have a good relationship with them today. The guys that had printed the vinyl, that wind up getting the licensing for it. But initially, it pissed me off so fucking bad that I went completely I went nuts about it. I had such a bad taste in my mouth. And talking with Dan, I'm like, let's just re-record the fucking album, dude, and then we'll have the rights to do it. It's kind of this weird thing where these companies, they could be music fans and they love the records, but they're in business. They have the relationship with the different labels and distributors. They get a licensing agreement and they don't need to get your approval. So they don't have to get the band's approval whatsoever. So you wind up getting a fucking email from whoever it is saying, hey, by the way, I'm going to be releasing self-titled. So if you guys want to be a part of, any of the artwork, or if you want to have any of these records, I'll send you an invoice and, you can buy them off of me. So it turned into that thing, and we were looking for ways to do it. I saw August Burns Red did a re-record. Taylor Swift had been doing a bunch of that shit too. So I was like, well, that's a great idea. And then, got with Dan, and he basically said, yeah, that's a great idea, but you're not touching that fucking record, dude. We're not going to do that. So, and hindsight being 2020, I'm so thankful that we didn't do that, because it's just, I want that to live where it lives. Right. It changed people's life at a certain time. It did what it did in the scene at that time, and I want it to live there. So moving forward, the best way to do it, we were tracking new songs. We have some new songs in the bank, and an opportunity came up for us to, I kind of just threw it all together. Got everybody in the studio.
Yeah, luckily we have a buddy, Jay, at Straight Jacket Studios, who's like, whenever he's home and he's not touring with, Punk Rock Factory or whoever, Lit, or whoever the hell he goes out with. He goes out with a bunch of bands, but whenever he's available, he like lets us, go there. We'll track songs with him. He's our guy. So he was home, and we got his studio, and Joe threw some stuff together. We got a film crew, and we were actually shooting another video that I was really excited. That was like my main reason for wanting to go, because we were doing this like mix shoot out of this new song that we had written, and we got a lot of mixers to like take a stab at it. And we did this like mix shootout video before we did the live video. So I was super excited about that. That was a lot of fun to like listen to the song. So that was like amping everyone up, because we got to hear all these mixes finally, and we hadn't listened to them before. And it was like kind of like a blind mix listen. And right after that, like we were so pumped on the song and the new mix, and we're like, yeah, dude, this is amazing. And Jay, our guy at Straight Jacket, he actually won the mix contest of like all these very notable producers. He's just a homeboy from here. He's a sound guy, but he does produce on the side. He produces a lot of punk bands and stuff like that. And he wanted to throw his hat in the ring, and he actually won. So it was mind blowing. We're like, that's the best outcome that could ever happen. But like off the high of that, we went in, and the film crew was just getting there and, starting to do their stuff. And we went in and started to record, and yeah, it was crazy. But for me, I just, that record's like a time capsule of the scene at that time, and I didn't want to touch it. A lot of people do remasters. I'm not a fan. Like when I listen to something, I know what it sounded like, and if I listen to a remaster and it's a record I love, I hate it. No matter if it sounds better or not, I'm like, well, I already liked the first one. Why are we doing it again?
Yeah, I thought about that too. Like if somebody was to touch fucking Clarity and I listened to it, I would die probably. I would be so mad. Like if Clarity sounded like Bleed American for some reason, dude, I'd go fucking crazy.
Piss me off.
You know?
That one especially would piss me off. But and then we released the live record, and it's like, raw performances, and people are like, this sounds better than the actual record. And I'm like, that's amazing. But like we have both now, which is cool. And one's like this display of what we can do, in a live set when we're not just fucking going insane. And we can really dial in and be tight. And we had been practicing those songs for a while, doing these and Don't Forget the Breeze shows. So we were pretty dialed on them. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the interesting thing. And, I love kind of peeling the curtain back a little bit on the industry and how, not great toward artists it can be. I kind of smirked when you were talking about how like sometimes you just get like an indie label or a boutique vinyl person that's pressing a record and it's just like, hey, we're already doing this. Like if you want to be involved, like cool. A friend of mine, Ross from Enjoy the Ride Records, was telling me that he
that was my first email. What was that? Well, this happens. But I love these guys now after working with them, and I didn't want to cut you off, but that was my that was my first introduction to how that all works.
Ross had the cell phone, right?
Yeah. But I know from talking to Ross, because like I didn't know that was necessarily the experience that he had maybe had with you guys, but I think it was Local H or something that they're doing. He had basically been in trying, because I know him, he always tries to get the band involved as much as possible because it just makes it better for everyone involved. But he's always like, it's funny how many people don't read emails, don't look at DMs, don't whatever. And then it's like, technically, I don't need you. I can go around because you don't own your rights. I think it would be better to have you involved so everyone gets to win and feel involved in this thing, because ultimately it's not mine to really tell the story or reshare, but it's something that I know as a vinyl fan that like I can do something and make it better than most would, instead of just being like, hey, it's just a quick like CD rip on a record and whatever for a quick cash grab. So there's more integrity, at least with Ross and a few other different people like that. But it's just always interesting because I think a lot of people obviously with like Victory Records and stuff, just like they know how shitty those labels used to be, and everyone's just trying to like get their masters back or be able to make some of the money off of their own art that they created and have been probably fucked over financially for decades.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to it, like honestly, like as petty as I sound initially, like if you go to my house, every single one of those self-titled records are on the wall. They're a piece of art. I look at it every day. If Ross didn't fork out the cash to go do that and do it, I wouldn't have that. And I'm so goddamn thankful at the end of the day, just because for me, I always wanted a vinyl record. We never had one ever. Never had one. We never pressed a real quick.
Really, before this,
never once. We never pressed a 7-inch. We never pressed vinyl at all.
It just wasn't popular then, though.
Yeah, it was a different time. Like that just wasn't something you're gonna do. I mean, but to be able to have these tangible pieces of music, and like my daughter's like super like into anything that's like analog, right? Like so she wants like a tape cassette, or she wants a VHS, or she wants a DVD, or she wants a CD, right? And I think that's really cool, and it's really neat how once you take everything away and you don't really have a tangible thing, and you only have the streaming services, how at least my younger kids and people that used to have the tangible music, they long for it. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I feel like maybe that's a good piggybacking point to ask this. I mean, with kind of this being the culmination of like the live shows of playing this record in full, really getting to spend probably more time than you ever have since you were probably getting ready to go write and record these songs initially. As you prep for this, what was it like to kind of re-immerse yourself in these songs in this album? And in a really weird way, what was it like to kind of re-tap into your younger selves?
Yeah, there was I mean, the big moment with these songs was when we did the first And Don't Forget to Breathe show. Was that was New York, right?
No,
We
Observatory.
didn't do them in New York.
It was Observatory. We
in
didn't do them
December.
No. We were gonna do Chicago got canceled.
That's right. We were going to do it in Chicago. Yeah, we did it at the Observatory. So we did it at Observatory, and it was super special. Like it felt really good that night. But like that's why I was like, I don't remember how New York felt.
Yeah.
But the Observatory, I was like, did we already do 2 shows before that? No, we didn't. But Observatory, when we did it, that was back in
December.
It felt really, really good. And then it kind of like, just led us into this, and it was cool. It was just like a totally different environment, and we had never done anything like this. We never did like AOL live session or anything like that back in the day, and I always kind of wanted to, but it was like, do we have the chops? I don't know. We always had like, maybe with like one of the lineups we did, but yeah, we never got to do anything like that. It was really cool to do and like experience, and we were trying to experiment with how to get like the isolation on the mics and the sound, so we kind of played in a circle and like facing each other. It was a lot of fun. It was like practice, and like practice is always fun. And we had our buddy Gabe come out and do some lights, which was really cool. It was just a whole lot of fun. And I feel like it was really easy to do. And yeah, it just felt kind of effortless, and it felt good. And Joe and I were having fun. We just kept looking over at each other like, fuck yeah. Oh, and it was our first time ever wearing in-ears.
That was
which is a crazy experience. Like,
was cool.
We had never tried it because it's like either we're all going to do it or no one's going to do it, because you have to buy a rig and it's all this stuff. And like Joe's like, I don't know if I can do it. I scream like, why would I want in-ears? I'm fine. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I want. But after we did that, Joe was fucking ripping. I was ripping, and I'm like, never, like that's the goal. And we don't have money to get stuff like that right now, but like hopefully with continued content and things like this, and continued releases and selling merch and things like that, some live shows here and there, we can afford something like that, so we can get out on the road one day and have those in-ears, and it'll be nice and crispy for us in our ears.
I think having a self-contained unit to be able to go out and travel to fly in and do something so you can really deliver a good product is what we want at the end of the day. But yeah,
Exactly. And even just like practicing, we could.
But fuck yeah, dude. I mean, I could probably like, that'd be sick.
Not blow our ears out with fucking cymbals.
I think for me, when I look back at 19-year-old Joe writing these songs, right? I think I was forced to do that, actually going through all the business shit and making sure the lyrics were correct. And there were so many times I was Googling my own lyrics and thinking about it, and then reading like what somebody thinks I'm saying versus what they have up online. I'm like, well, that's not right. So I'm like proofreading all the shit and I'm sending it over to Smart Punk. But it would remind me of, shit, okay, I was here. I was in my garage. I had this little jukebox CD player, and me and Dan were doing some stupid shit. And we wrote this song in about 15 minutes. And the next day I got drunk off King Cobra. My grandma threw water on me. Like there was so many of these little moments that I had. I remember one night when I wrote Nightmares Wins, I had this little room in my garage where I turned it into my bedroom so I could do whatever the hell I wanted. I could smoke cigarettes and do whatever. People could come in through the side window and I could run amok as much as I wanted to, 18, 19 years old at my dad's house. And I remember one night I had this gallon thing of Sunny D and a huge handle of like Captain Morgan. Oh, and I think I drank that whole thing, and I probably smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes when I was writing Nightmares. I was in a weird place, dude.
We were watching fucking Jay and Silent Bob every night.
So
And 13 ghosts or whatever.
I know, dude. Don't
Joe
ever
just-
watch 13 Ghosts on mushrooms. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
Joe
but
just
that was
never
like a
Joe
big
just
thing.
never returned the DVD to fucking Hollywood.
Oh, my
It's got
God.
a tab.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that the lyrics for that record were fueled by Captain Morgan and King Cobra?
No, Captain
Captain
Morgan
Morgan
and Sunny
Sunny D.
Delight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sunny Delight.
And I got a quick story about that, about one of those nights too, because he had that Sunny D and Captain in his room, but he had this like glass desk. It was like a glass top desk, and then he had this bed, and this room was like tiny. It was like maybe
For a
6
garage?
6 by 12.
It was like one of the car spots in a 3-car garage.
Yeah, it was like a three. It was like
Oh,
a three
okay.
with a little door, and then he took the little door side.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he had a full setup in there. He had a fucking jukebox, he had a TV, he had a glass desk. But on the glass desk, I was sitting there, and he was watching TV, and I was making a drink, and I spilled some Sunny D, and I had my glass down, and it was starting to slide a little bit. And I don't know why I got an idea. I'm just a troll like this. I've always been. But like, I look at Joe, and I know he's drunk, and I'm like, Joe, watch this. And I put my hands out like I have the force or something, and the glass slides a little bit more. And he like grabs his head, and he's like, "What is going on?" he flipped the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's a funny story. I think we told it on the podcast, but it was a good one.
That
It was a good one.
Would have been good if you were watching Mallrats.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think Mallrats made the cut.
I'm sure. Yeah, we were dipping in all that stuff back then. But
Yeah, for
James
sure.
Silent Bob was on a heavy rotation for a while.
I mean, hard not to be. It's got so many great like one-liners that I still use today that most people are not. I always pull out the weird one. I feel like when it's like, no, clit's real. It's the female orgasm. That's the myth. And everyone's like, excuse me.
Yeah.
What was that?
Josie and the Pussycats was also a banging movie.
I don't think I ever really watched that one. It just didn't seem very good from a trailer perspective.
The songs were great. The songs were great.
Yeah.
I guess kind of maybe a fun now and then kind of thing, which was a really horrible movie from the 90s. How has your perspective maybe changed about this album from when you were like excited to write it and play these songs out and kind of building a name to now where you're have a career and a legacy behind you at this point?
I think it varies amongst Joe and I. Like, I think Joe's ready to move on from this record and kind of like, not move on completely, but like, let's write new music. Like, I really cherish this record, and I know it's like, this is the reason we are who we are. It's got our foot in the door and then some, and gave us the opportunity to like do what we're about to do. So like, I treasure this record. I think Joe does too, but like, he doesn't like the stigma that we should do like the nostalgia act, which we're not trying to do. We just want to do something special, but now everyone wants it. And that's kind of also why we did the live thing, is like, yeah, it's not a live show, but it's like something, because we all have jobs and we can't get out there to every city. So, in the meantime, here you go, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't sure if you were going to go, so go ahead and piggyback off this so I can.
Yeah, I mean, he's right to a degree. I don't want to, like, a year full of playing this album live in certain different spots really kind of does not sound like the funnest thing in the world to me. But I think the product of that, like Dan said, we wound up making this live album and shooting in the video so people could participate and share that experience with us in the privacy of their own home, and not have to wait for us to figure out how we're going to get plane tickets to Milwaukee or something. Like that's, I think that's what we owed the fans, and that's what I wanted to share with everybody, because when I read the comments on YouTube, I'm transported back every single time another person is. Oh my God, it's 2003 again, and I'm a senior in high school, and they were better times, and this is happening, and this is happening, and people are reliving that moment, and that's exactly what I wanted to share with the whole nation. If we could have gone out on tour and done this properly, I think I would have loved to do that. I would have loved playing this every single night for 30 some days and done a full tour and done that, but we're not able to do that. So we're limited to these weekend warrior runs where we're flying in and flying out. And, truthfully, we're doing it to share it with people. It's not like we're getting rich off doing that or anything. We're able to get there and hopefully play for our plane tickets and all the luggage, but at the end of the day, I couldn't be more grateful of the fans for sharing their experiences, because it really, really does, make me feel good at the end of the day. So, I'm totally happy with it, but I am ready to share what we got going forward. And that's where I'm living in the happiest moments right now.
Real kind of fun, nerdy question. Gear. Because obviously the gear that you can have now versus what you would have had back then is drastically different. Yeah. What kind of gear were you using on this live record? Were you finding old pedals that you somehow kept from back then, or are you more now like everyone else, like quad cortexes and a lot more stuff like that, where it's all kind of more streamlined?
Yeah, we did some. So I had a Helix, and Nick, I
had the Fractal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Fractal. And we dialed them in with the producer, with Jay. We did some like overdubs, not a lot though, with like a real amp, but a couple things here and there, like clean stuff, I think. But the majority was all done like that. Yeah, it was not tube amps and things like that. We had them there, but I think it would have taken longer, and it was like kind of it was all thrown together. It was a crunch for time. We had our sets like dialed in, these boards, because nowadays if we're doing fly out shows, it's really hard to take like a full, tube head, pedal board, cabinet. We can get backline cabinets, or like the venue, like they can do like gear rental and get gear for you, but you never know what you're going to get unless you do it yourself, which we're not going to fly out 2 days early to make sure we get the right thing.
We were trying to control noise too, so it was a lot easier for us to go direct from their boards. Play with the in-ears. It's kind of a weird scenario because we were filming at the same time, and the only thing you could hear is me just screaming my face off, right? Screaming in drums, and them trying to find cut points to line up the audio with.
Yeah, and they had no idea what they don't know our band, and they were just a hired film crew. They don't know our band, so they're just like waiting for some kind of cue that it's over because they can't hear shit. It's really funny. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that in the moment. I'm like playing like everyone could hear, like, hell yeah,
this is great.
Yeah. But after the fact, I was like, oh, that's so weird for them.
Yeah, it's always the fun thing of seeing friends now is like, I like being like side stage and stuff and just seeing how everything works and all the behind the scenes stuff. But it's kind of funny because a lot of people are like, you can't hear shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a quiet stage other than cymbals and maybe a little bit of vocal that you can hear from the PA like right above. But yeah, by and large, you're just hearing nothing. But to me, I think I like seeing how like the sausage is made and just like how it all works. So I enjoy that, but I know that, like I said, a lot of people probably don't, but it's always fun getting to kind of pick some people's brains that have been around for a while, where you're like, yeah, when you started, you had to have like all analog things like you were saying. And now it's more like digital and like you said, more stuff already pre-programmed into your pedal boards and stuff. So you're just ready to go and can fly with it. So I was kind of wondering, like, when doing this, like, was there a little bit of a, do I want to stay a like foot in the old and make it true to what it was, or kind of just try to recreate everything as much as we can with the newer technology?
Yeah, I think with, we both have, our sounds pretty dialed, and as far as like, the biggest thing was controlling like noise output. Like if we could go silent, then we were going to. So that was the way to do it. And we were in the like the live room too. So like that's where the cabs live. It's not the control room. The control room's a little smaller. So there was really not an option to do anything else but that, really. Which I don't even know if I'd want to. It sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When we play live, we're generally getting backline, and we're kind of always miking cabs and stuff. So there is live stage sound with us now. We don't ever just go direct from the board out. And since we don't play with in-ears, we do run monitors and everything. So it is a live stage when we're actually playing. We weren't able to do that during the recording, obviously, just so we could isolate tones and do what we needed to do on that front. But you know.
But on our new songs, we are using real amps when we record. Just so everyone knows.
What's been your go-to? Because I feel like you have a pretty defined sound, like as far as like guitars and rhythms and kind of everything. But I feel like thinking to the whole discography, I feel like there's a lot of a lot of nuance and variables to like different textures and tones and such that I feel like you would have probably amassed a pretty decent pedal collection to kind of pull off a lot of these things.
I did. It all got stolen in like 2009. Everything got stolen. So like all the head, like there was this Mesa head that I got for high school graduation.
Best head.
It was like a 96 dual rec or something that my parents got used for me. And I used that on every single record. So that was on every, well, except for Fossil Tito, but the three good ones, the three that matter. I used that on all three good records. And that was like kind of my sound. But I mean, my sound has changed. Like I prefer like orange. So in the studio, we have Chris, our drummer, has this 50-watt orange rock reverb. That sounds incredible. Like our first show back, I used that, played it. It sounded so amazing. I also really love EVH. So like those EVH3s are like so good. If they work right, they're good. But yeah, I mean that tone's great. It's just those two tones I think are my jam right now. Like if I had that Mesa and I pulled it out, I'd probably play that only, but I don't have it anymore. So yeah.
I just think it gets a little interesting. Like I'm at this stage right now, like I'm getting old and having like heavy guitars hurts my back. But I ended up getting something slimmer and a completely different body style, and it's completely changed like how I want to write and what I want to play. So like now I'm in this process of like determining, do I want to get another 5153, which I already had and I know it's awesome. Do I want to go to a orange something, or do I just want to fully commit to what the new stuff is and get like either a Helix or a Fractal or something? And I'm just so kind of not sure, but it's interesting talking to other players and musicians who have kind of been doing this for a long time, where your tastes change. And sometimes you're like, it is cool to riff on a dual rec, but kind of want to play some pretty things too on like a nice like Fender reverb or something like that, or like just how your styles change. And even kind of getting into like drumming a little bit, it's like looking at like acrylic kits versus like, these types of different things. And it's really interesting just to see how much nuance changes based on what you're playing through and how you're playing and the different styles and players. And I just, you're always evolving and changing. So I feel like the same thing would probably have to happen for you guys, where you're like, I did kind of like what I used to have, but I kind of like what I got now, because it's more where I'm at currently in my playing.
Yeah. And I kind of just wanted like, I put so much into this band over the first iteration of it, and I was not going to drain my bank account to buy a bunch of gear. So like, I was like, what's the most bang for my buck? What's the simplest to use? And Helix came up and I tried one out. I liked the tone. A lot of people used it. I talked to my buddy Joey Bradford, who's in the Used. He actually played bass for us back, at our 2016 reunion shows. He was playing bass for us. He's the homie, and he kind of helped us get started, like get us in contact with people. But I was just asking him, like, what do I do? What the hell's an IR? Like, I don't know any of this shit, because I don't really write music unless it's for a Static Lullaby. Like, yeah, I'll tinker around here and there, but I pretty much didn't really play guitar for, 6 years.
Wow.
I think I did a couple things with Chris, our drummer. We wrote a couple songs like 1 year, and that's about it. I'm not a band slut like Joe can be over here,
I get bored, bro. What am I doing?
Rapping and shit.
Shut the fuck up. Please don't do this.
Oh, yeah.
Please don't do this right now.
I think if I can interject though, I think like just when it comes to guitar amps, like the Helix, like the digital stuff, it's just the easiest.
Yeah.
And it's at a point nowadays where it sounds fantastic and no one can really tell the difference. And I think for you, for what you were saying, I see that nice little Mesa oversized cab behind you there. Buy a little like power stage and buy a digital amp. And then in the future, if you feel like you need to buy a tube amp again, do it. But
Yeah.
I would do that and just taste everything. You know, that's been great for me and great for Dan, I'm sure. You know,
I'm just old and I pretty much just play in this room. So it's like the few times my wife's camping this weekend. So I'm going to play loud and piss off my neighbors. But 99% of the time I can't do that. So at least going to something more digital where I can use like headphones or, something and be able to play and still get the tone I want to hear versus just, some bullshit. It's like, all right, like that seems exciting to me. Whether I want to spend the thousands, because I'm in the same way. It's like, do I really want to spend the thousands and thousands of dollars just to essentially play in my room? Not entirely, but yes. Kind of since we're sort of talking about nostalgia and stuff like that, I was thinking you guys came at a time, I mean, the first record came a year after I graduated high school. I think like, you were saying you've heard all the stories, like it reminds me of this time of my life. Looking back now, what is it? Can you pinpoint or put a finger on why you think people connected with you in this album or you guys as a whole? Like, have you been able to figure that out?
I think it was good, to be honest. Like, I just think it was, I think it was good. It was just like, we had an idea, Joe had an idea of what he wanted to hear and types of music that he wanted to hear. And we didn't know about, the Glass Jaws, and like all we really knew of like, close to this was Thursday and Finch, because I think their EPs came out like right when we started the band. And Thursday was East Coast, Finch was West Coast. We wanted a little bit more hardcore influence into our music because that's kind of what Joe was doing at the time, was like, into more of like the old school hardcore stuff, and the newer stuff, and like Poison the Well had come out too, which was like a huge catalyst for our sound. Obviously we sound nothing like Poison the Well, but it was like it sparked an idea, it sparked something. And I think everyone was obviously everyone was looking for this type of music because everyone started making the same music around the same time, which there was no like handbook. It just started happening at the same time, like across the nation. So it's really like, that always trips me out. I talk about it constantly, but like it always trips me out how Joe went out with our demo. He did merch for Finch, went out with our demo, was handing it out, and saw like Taking Back Sunday and saw like Brand New and like all these bands, and like they were either poppier, or they were like darker or whatever it may be, but like everyone was trying to do the whole like singy, screamy thing. And it's so weird that it was never done before. But it's just, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. The question was exactly what?
Well, just kind of
Why people connected to it. So.
yeah, like have you been able to, in all the encounters you have with people, and even just thinking back on it yourself, like have you really been able to pinpoint why you think your music and your band has connected so much, like right out the gate?
Yeah, I think Dan was right. I had my finger on the pulse of whatever it was, right? I think there was something burning deep down inside me on this type of music that I wanted to make, that I really thought was, no one else was doing it at the time. And I thought that the scene, at least in Orange County or wherever I was from, was ready to have that. Like they needed that, right? Because it was either really, really super heavy. It was like 18 Visions and Throwdown and Adamantium, maybe like some old school hardcore shit like Show of Hands, but then you had like Death by Stereo, and you had all these bands that really, really had an influence on me, and I really wanted to be part of that scene, but I also wanted melody, and I love punk rock, and I love pop punk, and I love hardcore, and I love metal, and I really wanted to put that together, and so I think people were ready for it. It's not like the only one with the thought, because like Dan said, everybody was kind of doing it.
And people were like touching, like hardcore bands were like touching on, like they would do like a small quick sliver of a sing part, but like that was it. Or like Newfound Glory would do, like there'd be like Chad screaming in the background for like a moment. And it's like they were just dipping in and no one was like going all out or doing the 2-singer thing, which like that's another weird thing, was like all this branched off into all these like multiple singer bands, which was really cool. What a cool movement and what a weird thing.
I saw a lot of Christian hardcore bands. They were doing 2 singers, right? But it was always 2 screamers, right? It wasn't. I'm like 2 fucking guys just screaming about Jesus, back at each other. And then I'm like, okay, I think. But then you get some really sick ass Christian bands that were doing the singy, screamy thing, like Beloved and stuff like that. That band was fucking amazing. Haste the Day, they're doing that shit, right?
Yep.
So, but those bands were a little more metalcore than we were.
Yeah,
I think.
Not Beloved was like right there with us. Emery,
Hope's Fall was doing some cool shit. Hope's Fall was like they were. I think the record before he started singing was like really kind of a bit heavier, and then they started doing some singy, screamy stuff. I don't know.
Always had those delayed guitars.
And then it's like Atreyu and us and did this exactly kind of at the same time, and they had Brandon and Alex, and it was me and Dan. I don't know, dude. It's hard to say, but it did resonate with people for sure. I think it was just because we believed in what the fuck we were doing, right? Like we were so about going up and sharing this with people. And truthfully, I thought we were the best band in the fucking world, dude. And I think that really translated, because I was kind of a dickhead on stage, and people were like, "What? Maybe I should like this band."
Yeah, Joe was just Joe was undeniably arrogant. Like when you saw us live and like Joe believed in it so hard, like he would just say like, "We're the best fucking band you ever heard," and like believe it, and like you could see the conviction in his eyes, and it would like kids would be like, "Oh my god!" Like
maybe he's right.
Maybe
maybe I do. Maybe they would like him, but it's kind of funny to think back at that time. It was just completely different. Like Dan was telling a story that we gave up everything. We just said that it's gonna be this. There was no other way.
Yeah, I quit college. Like
it was just gonna happen.
On a handshake, basically between me and Joe. Like quit college. Like didn't get a job.
That's sick.
Like just fuck.
Just said we're gonna be fucking. We're going. We're
grabbed a bunch of fucking little kids that were not 18 yet and said, "Hey, let's."
We're gonna go play Hellfest, dude. That's what it was. That's all we cared about. So.
There's a few things in there that I think are kind of interesting. I want to dive into. Like I think, because like right now, and I feel like this is a question I'm going to ask kind of later to wrap things up. I think, but I like nostalgia is so big right now, especially like with you were saying like your daughter loves anything that's kind of tactile and like more like hands on, and that's how we grew up. Like we didn't have the internet, we didn't have things like you kind of had to go out and find whatever things you were into. Like you kind of had to actually invest yourself to become a fan of something. Like a lot of like one of my favorite bands, Him. Like I had to spend a lot of money to import those CDs over here because like I couldn't just go to my record store and get it. So to be a fan, I had to actually be very involved in the fandom of being a fan and going to shows and finding like-minded people, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, when a lot of these bands were kind of, baby bands breaking. And I remember for me, like a big trip, and I talk about it quite a lot on here, is growing up out east, because I'm from Delaware, which admittedly not a hotbed of anything, but it's, I know the Wayne's World quote's coming. But it's a thing where, we were close to people who were from Philly, people who were in Massachusetts, people who were bringing from family and relatives, older brothers, older, relatives. Hey, check out this band. Hey, check out this thing. We had MTV, so we were able to kind of see newer music kind of breaking between the different 120 minutes for alternative and Yo MTV Raps and Headbangers Ball to the fanzines and stuff like that. I remember moving to Michigan in like 95 And most of the stuff I was listening to, people, were calling me names because why are you listening to Boyz II Men? Why are you listening to, this stuff? It's not what we listen to. And then someone shows me ICP and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And being very confused. But at a time, I think it's interesting to think about how regional music was and how long it took for certain things to get, to one coast to the other or whatever, if you didn't have tape trading or stuff. But thinking, and this is where the question's going to kind of come. I know out west, it was kind of, you were making the joke that Joe kind of is the one that like his cocky attitude or whatever on stage is kind of what maybe gave you that sense of people being like, well, fuck, maybe I should listen to who this band is. Maybe I should pay more attention to these guys because they seem so confident in what they're doing. And I feel like that was so prevalent on the West Coast between all the bands you've already mentioned. But you guys also, from my memory, there was a little bit more sense of like showmanship of like, I want to look the part too. I want to present myself as the front man. I want to be a cohesive looking band. Whereas out east, it was just kind of like you look at a band like Thursday, they don't all look the same. Like none of the East Coast guys looked like they really kind of belonged. And I felt like it was all of you from the West Coast bringing that forward at a Hellfest or something, where then I was going to say, what was it like the first time you made it out east? And maybe people were like, what the fuck is this? Like, because it's not what we know. Like, what were those experiences like?
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, because like, I mean, we're following like 18V and like the whole fashion core movement.
Well, no, I didn't. I think when we came out after we had come to New York for the first time, we were able to make it out to New York. I winded up meeting some guys in Long Island, and they were friends from Out of the Ashes. And my buddy Smalley winded up making some fashion core t-shirts, and he got them over to like James at 18V and then to us and stuff. There definitely was a more, an idea. I think, yes, I had creepers. I had really tight pants. I wore stub belts. I fucking put Murrays in my hair. Like I was serious.
Same.
I tricked Dan into doing the exact same shit. So like, that wasn't long lived. But I don't think it would have flown in Texas or in Delaware in that exact moment in time. I think that was the only place that it could start. And then it lived for a little while. But it did. Dan said it looked like we were in that band fucking orgy or something. But
yeah, for a little bit. But yeah, like once we got on the road and we're like, oh, like we're chilling. Like I started growing my hair out. Like it wasn't like we had to all have the same hair. Nate didn't dye his hair black anymore, which was super weird.
All we wanted to do was the band. And I think as a kid, you believe certain things. Hey, you need to get this record label, and get this record label, you need to do this. And this is what this band's doing, and they're successful, so I want to do that, right? It's like, I don't know, Casualties probably got big because their fucking mohawk was 1 foot taller than the other guys. Yeah, I don't know, but
gimmicks,
like,
man.
It's one of those things where it's like, all we cared about was music. All we cared about was the music we were making. We didn't really involve ourselves in anything else. And we did have peers. So we did take some stuff from what was going on around us. And that Orange County thing was kind of happening. So,
yeah, I mean, trends exist for a reason, right? Like people influence other people's styles. I mean, the whole skater style, scene style back then was just all over the place, I think, especially on the West Coast. I remember I moved out here from Colorado when I was 12, and that was 2005. And I went to middle school, and I saw my first scene person, and it blew my fucking mind, dude. I had no idea what I was looking at. I came from a farm town, so
yeah, they saw me in Texas one time.
They called you some names.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely wasn't anywhere except out here at first.
Did you get a little cat call?
No, I think it's just interesting to kind of think of that, and I feel like it's gotta feel nice to kind of feel like you're a part of the thing that's popping off. Like, I mean, that was always kind of my big gripe about leaving the East Coast when I did. Is it's like, man, I just missed all of the like the metalcore shit of like Kill Switch and like all of
Yeah.
that just getting ready to pop off within a few years, and thinking about like how cool it would have been to just be like your local shows are like Blood Has Been Shed, like maybe Kill Switch or like Overcast or like Aftershock or, you know, a lot of these bands plus maybe Madball's on it, or, you know,
Right.
your East Coast bands, and just being like, it's the merging of this thing happening. I kind of missed that. The closest I got was really Still Remains and Haste the Day kind of popping off in the early 2000s around here in the Midwest. But it's just interesting to kind of think about, like, I feel like that would just drive you even more to be like, well, I mean, yo, have you heard like what this band's doing? Yo, they're doing some cool shit. Let's hop on some shows. Yo, these shows are cool. Like, hey, labels are kind of starting to come around, and just feeling like not even like that you're peripherally a part of it, but like you're in the mix. Like you're in it. And like, how would you not want to be like, fuck it, I'm going all in on this, because like something is happening and you can feel it, you can see it.
Yeah, it was, and you could. I mean, truthfully, it was. I mean, we got lucky, you know. I, like you said, it music and influence was regional. I was able to expand that by going out on tour with Finch and dropping our shit all over the country, and then coming back and then going back out and doing it. So the demo did really, really well. If you're not making good music and people aren't into it, you're going to have a hell of a time making somebody like it. Right. So something was special about our demo. I was able to get it in the hands of people all over the country. We went out and we did it. And I was also able to see that the scene was happening everywhere else too. So it was a great time for music. I mean, and there was a lot of camaraderie, you know, like, I didn't tell you, like, we broed down really, really hard with My Chemical Romance, and, you know, we stayed with Census Fail, and, you know, we participated in so many other things with so many different bands that either today are massively huge or don't exist, but you know, everybody was a part of this thing. So, it also allowed music to grow exponentially in different areas too, because you could be, I saw Thursday, Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, and Finch in an auto car garage in like Pennsylvania, bro. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, that was fucking insane to me. Right. And I'm like, okay, this is happening. But also, you know, we had crazy tours. Like, we went out with fucking Anti-Flag and like Hot Water Music, right? And then, you know, the next one, it was us and Sum 41, and then it was, you know, like, and then, you know, we would do heavy shit. It was like HopeCon,
fucking
Unearth,
HopeCon.
Yeah,
dude, that show.
Dude, so like, I mean, like, so it was so cool to be in it and be a part of it, you know.
I've wanted to discuss this record with you guys for a long time. I haven't seen much really ever discussed about this record. You kind of already alluded to the three good ones, so I'm assuming there's kind of a little bit of I'll tell there of where you feel this stacks up. But Rattlesnake.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when it came out just being like, so like, wow, this is not what I was expecting, but I really dig it. And you guys kind of, again, like I said, just kind of doing something different. You know, I know that sort of the thing was not being so precious about writing something, but just kind of being more in the moment of writing that record and more riffs and having fun. Sounds like you guys aren't really necessarily big on it, or at least one of you. Like, it feels like a very divisive record where I either feel like people love it or they hate it, and there's really no in between. Where do you guys stand on it now?
Not in this camp.
Yeah, that's our best record.
Yeah, that's our
Everyone
best
loves
record.
that record.
Flat out.
Yeah, the record I was talking about was Fossil Tito. That's a piece of shit.
No. Okay.
I you know, for you to say that, and I appreciate it. I appreciate anybody that says it, because that one is my shit. And it's not because I scream a lot on it. It's just because the fucking songs are so goddamn us. It's where we wanted to be, right? Like, I think we started dabbling where we wanted to go, and the evolution of the sound on Self-Titled, and we were getting there, songwriting, and then Dan just said, "Fuck it, let's just go. Let's go."
What really happened is, like, we had lost our guitar player, John. He didn't want to tour anymore. And he was kind of like my writing partner for the self-titled record. And obviously we didn't have the other singer, Phil, and Nate, who are my writing partners for, from And Don't Forget to Breathe. So it was just me at this time. And we were an active band. And I was like, okay, well, it's just me. Like, what do I want to write? What am I pumped on right now? And we've always listened to a lot of Every Time I Die, things like that, like just getting down with. And I know that Joe wanted more of like, there's not all these singers that need to fill parts now. Like it's just him and I. So like there can be an even split or just more Joe on songs. And it's like, what does a more Joe song sound like? Like if I want to do that, what does that sound like? And the first thing I wrote was Rattlesnake, the song. That song came out, and I remember I was like, I was playing the riff from the Munsters, the
Yeah.
and I was like, let me speed that up a little bit. Like, is that heavy? And then like I made my own thing out of it. I was like, oh shit, this like rips, dude. This is like getting me pumped. And I think Joe, our bass player, had flown to Alaska. We just gotten a new drummer who was like pretty good. He was okay. He filled in for us because he filled in and played Love to Hate on a tour. And then our drummer was leaving for something else because we were starting to slow down a bit and we didn't have the record started yet. So our bass player Dane he went to Alaska to visit his family. He's from Alaska. I think Joe was in rehab or something.
Never.
No?
Yeah,
No.
maybe. Yeah,
Joe, I think Joe was in rehab, and then I have this like this new drummer that like I still have to like get up to par because like I'm a dick about music, so like I'm gonna put him through boot camp because he's younger and like he's got chops, but like he doesn't hit hard enough. He doesn't do that. Like we gotta. If he wants to play for us, like he's gonna have to go through it.
He did have the full rock band setup though, bro, and he could shred on those drums. He just wasn't. He hadn't got a real big boy drum.
I fucking got in the garage with them and worked through new songs, old songs, and like made a damn man of that.
Yes,
kid,
you did. Dude.
And he came out like he's amazing. He's an amazing drummer. Tyler Mahiran. He played for Hollywood Undead for a while after us, but yeah, like it was a lot of nights in the beginning trying to figure it out, like writing Rattlesnake and like finishing that song and a lot of bottles of Jack by myself in my kitchen in my house in Fullerton and just dicking around with guitar parts and riffs. And like, I've never written anything like that before. So once that song popped off, I sent it over I think I sent a rough that I did on Pro Tools to Dane, and he was like, oh, hell yeah. And Dane's kind of like more of we're all types of music guys, but Dane was more of like Love and Johnny Cash, like stuff like that. So he was like, I love this shit. Like, let's go. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. Joe was like super pumped because it's heavier, it's pissed off. And yeah, and then I just continued down that road. Obviously, there's like a few songs in there that are more along the lines of self-titled, like Scavenger and Underwater Knife Fight. But like, when you put everything under with one producer and you have a vision and a tone and you like try to like keep the same energy, it all kind of blended pretty well. Like there's a couple songs on there that aren't that style, like I'd say like half and half, but it all just blends. Like it blends very well. And I'm like, okay, we just opened another door for ourselves of where we can go with songs. Like we don't have to be this like switch off thing over and over. We don't have to be very well-structured songwriting, like self-titled. We can just do whatever the fuck we want and we could still sound like us. And it's still a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, like that was the most freeing record, I think, for me to write.
Same.
I think that was the interesting thing about it though is, and again, the thing that's interesting about doing this podcast and having done it for almost a decade, like I had Nate and his wife from Finch, Ivy, on, and toward the end we talked about my favorite record of theirs, Say Hello to Sunshine, because I was like, it just sounded so different. It felt like what you actually really wanted to be, and just kind of couldn't figure out on what it is to burn. And to me, I remember like, again, back when magazines and stuff were a thing, and kind of the early days of like webcam-y type shit for like MySpace and shit, that it's like it seemed like everything leading up to the record was almost this like who are we now? Who do we want to be? And there's this freedom that you guys were getting to explore on that record. So when you finally hear it and you're like, oh man, if this is where they like, presumably the rest of the band kind of wants to go moving forward, like this is really fucking cool, because there are pieces that bring you back to everything you've done, but you're pushing your sound and what you're doing and capable of doing in new ways at the time. And it just was so refreshing that I always felt like that was the record that was kind of you, because like now it's, you're getting ready, you get to do this and no one's telling you how. And, you know, you're getting to redo a record with Evitz, who kind of had his finger on the pulse of like those bands at the time of like E-Tids and so forth, and had already worked with you and kind of knew you. Like talking with Evitz years ago, I've always kind of said, like, I think once a band finds a producer that works for them, they essentially become that like fourth or fifth or sixth member, however many people are in the band. And it just kind of allows them to get to the creative, the good stuff, and just, you know, you don't have to be afraid of what you're going to do, and you don't think the producer's going to be like, well, that song's not good, or hey, let me input my idea so I can get a point on the back end of this, and so on and so forth. Like, you're just there to make the best songs that you possibly can. And to me, I think like that shines through on Rattlesnake from start to finish. Kind of
about,
you know,
Evitz having his finger on the pulse. I don't know about all that. Like I showed him every time I died. You can ask him that.
then he was like, oh, by the way, Snapcase.
He is Legend record though.
Oh yeah,
at the same time.
Yeah.
as
But I
Rattlesnake.
also showed him Paramore too when they did their first record. I was like, this band's gonna be fucking huge, and he's like, it's all right. And then they got so big, and he's like, you were right about that Paramore band.
Oh yeah.
But I mean that's a kind of going to what we were saying earlier. Like a lot of I love listening to a lot of those kind of albums still, where it kind of blurs the lines of different genres. Where it's like you look at a band like Fall Out Boy. The early Fall Out Boy stuff is so rooted in old hardcore stuff, because like those guys were in like Arma Angelus and shit like that, or like Paramore, like especially the drum stuff or even the guitar stuff. It's like, oh, there's little bits of like hardcore influence in there if you know what you're listening for, and it just sounds so goddamn good. Like the production on it, it's like Feldman. My biggest critique and love of Feldman is he overproduces the shit out of things, but goddamn does it sound great. So overproduced.
Yeah,
but this is kind of more of a question for Joe, so sorry to the other guys. The trilogy, The Pledge, The Turn, and The Prestige. Yeah. How long had you been sitting on that, and how was there ever an idea to turn that either into its own like EP or to do something more with it? And then how did it kind of, why separate it in the track listing so it's not all together as an actual trilogy?
I think because I got in over my head. It wasn't just supposed to be a trilogy.
Okay.
Rattlesnake was supposed to be one complete whole concept record.
Okay.
And truthfully, I had to go to some pretty dark places to write that shit. And it did turn out well. I think after I got to the point, and those songs were kind of written specifically lyrically, each one back to back forward, because Dan basically handed me the whole record without any vocals on it, and I wrote to it. So, but after I realized, well, I can do this, and I got this story, and I got the beginning part, the middle part, and then I got the end, and I tied it up and I wrapped it up. I realized like to really extend this and really make a full concept album was too much, and I had more lyrics to write, and we had to get a record out. So I'm gonna do that, but
we always had this in us to like want to, like, I do not want to at all anymore, but we always had this idea that we were gonna make this fucking epic concept record one day. Self-titled was gonna be that.
Yeah.
Because I was very into Sin City, and the art is very Sin City-esque on Self-Titled, and like Joe and I were pitching like, what if, let's start writing like a graphic novel, and like that's really easy. Let's just do that. Let's just do it, and it'll be cool and super easy to do.
Yeah, and we always have great ideas that we throw out there and we get excited about, and we start them, but we're like, oh shit, this is not as easy as I thought it was gonna be.
I think I developed like a plot in the beginning. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do any of this.
That's all right.
But it was worth a shot.
It was worth a shot.
But yeah, that's definitely not something I ever want to do now. It sounds like a lot of work. I like the freedom of Rattlesnake and how it was written for me, and like just kind of vibing. Like fuck concept shit for me. Like I love listening to records like that. I'm like, wow, the craftsmanship it takes to like do this is a lot. But yeah, I remember Joe like he wrote those songs and like there's a lot of like Dexter references, and then for some reason we chose what's that movie called? The Prestige?
Yeah. Well,
We
it
chose
makes
the-
sense
we
because
chose
there's
the-
3 songs.
Yeah, the 3 stages of a magic
Yeah,
trick
yeah.
to name the songs, even though there are a lot of Dexter references in them. And I was
That
like,
was
wait, what are we
so
doing?
good.
Yeah, but that I think,
So good.
and I think we separated them on the track listing because
Yeah, they're
they just sounded better in different.
and they're not
areas.
even in order. They're not even in
order.
order of like the steps to a magic trick.
Oh wait, they're not, huh?
No, they're not.
No, but lyrically they are.
Lyrically, they're in order?
Lyrically, they're in
yes,
order.
I believe lyrically they're in order.
Lyrically, we did name them correctly.
we named them incorrectly.
No, we named them correctly.
Oh, if they're in order, then we didn't.
Don't you ever do this to me again. They're lyrically they're in order.
Yeah, but title wise,
They're all fucked up.
It's not in order of the
No,
magic,
it could
of
start.
the
It
steps
starts
of
with
the-
the Prestige, I think.
Yeah, that's
Just
the end.
podcast
That's the
all
end.
over
That's
again.
the
Yeah.
end. Yeah,
But
we
lyrically, they're
we fucked up, but it just sounded better there. But I wish we had deeper lore for you.
yeah. I'm sorry.
No,
Yes,
I mean,
Yeah,
I always thought that it was really cool, and like I said, I know like that was kind of, I think even in the liner notes back if I still had the CD, but I think there's something that kind of like a clue you got to put together. It kind of tells you the order everything's supposed to be and to tell the story correctly. But it's just one of those where it felt like either there was supposed to be more there or whatever. I almost feel like now like a way you could do it would almost be kind of borrowing like from He Is Legend and kind of do like the China White series where there's just like one more chapter on every album and you just have to figure out which. I mean, they kind of call the songs very obviously, so you know which ones it are. But so I guess yours has to be other parts of a magic trick.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think. Yeah, no.
The Unforgiven too.
That is really kind of
Yeah, that's a,
Prestige returns. It's like the Dark Knight. It's because they're all
Oh,
Nolan
dude.
movies. So like, Dark
Yeah.
Knight-
actually it's all magic themed. So the next one's like Now You See Me.
now you three me.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Spitballing
think.
on this podcast.
Yeah, no.
I think
The lyrics
I
are
think
so
our
hard
yeah, I
to
think
write
our
now.
newest songs like I don't know,
Dude, you're gonna be so pumped when you hear this. It's literally if we stopped Rattlesnake and started on the next record, like
Did you
literally-
guys not have any demo ideas at all from? Because I mean, there was like what you guys just broke up in 2012, so that would have been about like 3-4 years. So you didn't have any ideas partially that you've revisited.
And I had a riff that's not this newer song,
Just
but
one.
the second song
Single
we
riff.
second song we recorded, yeah, it was just an intro riff, and that's it. And that formed the second song that we wrote. But I think we've got like 6 ideas now, and 2 of them are definitely like very rattlesnakey. Maybe 3. The weird 5/4 riff one is cool. Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to the way I'm coming after this, like really trying to write or like start ideas that are like freeing, but also like paying tribute to like all the eras of our band. Like I want to be able to do like more of a poppy song with screaming, like the way that Shooting Star or like Love to Hate were back in the day.
Mhm.
And then, the next song is like a full, like The Turn, like is just as heavy like that, or twangy like Rattlesnake or whatever you may call that. That's kind of how I want to write.
I think that's the best part about this band is that we have the liberty and ability to just kind of do whatever the fuck we really want, and somehow the sound comes back and it's Static Lullaby, right? And that's the most liberating part about being a musician in this band, is being able to really like, hey, if I really want to express this part of something that I'm really into, we have the ability to do it. And we don't really put up a lot of guardrails to stop us from, hey, I'm going to dabble. Maybe I want the song to be super punk rock, and it's going to be, or hey, this song's going to be super, super fucking heavy, or this song's going to sound like Muse. Like it is what it is. And I really like that about us.
I've kind of another kind of wrapping up the Rattlesnake part. Do you feel the success of Toxic overshadowed the album?
Do you want to know how that worked?
Well, I assume it was for the pop or Punkos Pop or whatever, the compilation thing.
We recorded Toxic specifically to be the single for our fucking album. Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yes. That being said, Fearless released Pop Goes Punk the same fucking week they released our album and made that the title track of Pop Goes Punk. And that goes on Billboard at like number 12 or whatever that week, right? So there was no chance in hell that we were ever going to have that be any part of our album, because somebody can listen to A Static Lullaby played Britney Spears and then Day to Remember do whatever the fuck, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that album was huge. It's probably the biggest Pop Goes Punk there was. I think. I don't know. It's our biggest song today. 20, like millions and millions and millions of plays. But it's disappointing because we were specifically, we had that song specifically to be the single for our album, right? And it got. I wanted people. I was down to make the cover so people could listen to the record because I thought the record was fucking everything.
Yeah, I think we also like, when you're with a label and you come off like self-titled, which did have songs that are like single-ish, we didn't really know with Rattlesnake. We were just writing it because we wanted to write it. And we're like, here's a bone that we can throw.
Mm-hmm.
We have this Toxic cover. So like, here you go, like market that. And they took it and ran
They
with it.
marketed it.
Fucking...
they did a damn good job.
And we love Fearless and we love Bob.
There's
like,
nothing I'll never take from it.
But you got us, bud. You got us, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You got us.
Isn't it kind of interesting to know that now the way that rollouts and stuff like that go and changing like your streaming numbers on DSPs that actually, if it would have happened today, would have made your album actually go equally to number 12 because of how these like 6 month, like for the longest time I bitched on this podcast because I didn't know at the time how this really worked. But essentially I hated the 6 month roll. And I'm like, back in my day, you got like the lead single and maybe, or like the rollout single, and then essentially another single before the record came out. And that's essentially it. That's all you got.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're, looking at Falling in Reverse doing a 2-year rollout for something, or even like you look at Drake doing the same thing. And then you're just accumulating all these streams. So that way, when you put out the record and then it has that song, it goes from being a single to now being on that album. And all of those streams are already generated and cooked into your first week numbers and shit. And it's like, oh, that makes sense.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that with Toxic. We're gonna take it and put it on our new record. Figure something out. Yeah.
But I just always wondered, because I feel like whenever I talk about you guys to what I would say are more casual fans, everyone knows that cover and the video, but I always like wonder, it's like, okay, it's almost like Bad Wolves with the zombie cover, which, they didn't know Dolores was going to die like when it comes out. But essentially it's like that hard thing of navigating, like, fuck man, we've been a band for so long. And the thing that now pops us off is a cover. We're really proud of the record we actually did and this song, but like, is it kind of hindering what the outside world thinks of us because they think we're just literally a one-hit cover like wonder?
Yeah, I think there's some of that. I anybody that found us at the end, all they're gonna know is Toxic because we didn't tour after that, right? Like, it was we played some shows, and actually it was one of the best periods of, one of the biggest periods in time for the band, I think. But
yeah. We just started to like taste the popularity of that cover and play it live, and then my shit got like a bunch of shit got stolen, some deaths, and in my camp, and I just kind of had to step away for a bit. So I kind of like, unfortunately, we didn't get to taste the sweetness of riding that Toxic wave, but it would have been dope. It would have been fun.
I wish, I still wish people would hear Rattlesnake and give it what it deserves. I really do. I
Such a
think
great record.
a lot of people what people were saying at the time, and I think it kind of threw it off, was, oh, you know, they're trying to write an Every Time I Die record, or they're trying to write a He Is Legend record. Everybody's doing this fucking southern rock shit, and that's what they're doing now. And so it kind of turned people, but I mean, it just was where we were at that time. And obviously, even writing today, we still have a lot of that in us. And my favorite band is fucking Pantera. So it's not like, you know, and if Dan's my best friend, he's going to sometimes, you know, get into the things that I'm into, and we'll be influenced one way or another, and do things for each other in that realm. So we can be playing shit that we're into, you know, so I don't know.
I'm gonna throw some kind of just bullshit at you now. Cover songs are one of those interesting things, I think, as a band, where it really kind of gets to showcase things you're into, influences maybe that may not be so obvious, or some that are very much prevalent in your sound as you're building it. I feel like you guys have done a really great job of finding covers that I think showcase who you guys all are as musicians and as people, keeping them true to their original sound, but like also really making them yours. Have there ever been any other covers that you haven't put out that you talked about doing?
Not there. So the cover thing started with the Frau Frau song, because like we had never done anything like that or thought about doing that. And I just love that bass line in the chorus. So I was like, I'm going to play that on guitar and it's going to sound sick as fuck. And it did, and sounded awesome. And then like people really liked that. And then when we got back in the studio, Steve was like, we gotta do another cover. That thing was great. Like, figure something out. We were going to do Presidents of the United States of America, Lump, but we took it to Steve and he's like, it sounds rad. It sounds cool. But it's like, that song's already kind of like that though. You know, like you're making it a little heavier and they're screaming, but like, it's already kind of loud and bombastic, and it's not like as special as the other one. So I was driving home that night from pre-production for Rattlesnake, and Toxic came on the radio, and just that little I was like, that little riff, I was like, oh, I want to try and figure that out. And I was like, oh my God, this song would be fucking sick on guitar. And I went home and I figured it out and came back the next day and we had a cover song. I like had it all plotted out. I spent like 3 hours on it, had it plotted out, and we jammed it out and figured it all out at pre-pro.
Because I was gonna say, at this point you've done 4 between the Frau Frau, the Toxic, Smashing Pumpkins, and
Smashing Pumpkins.
I'm trying to think of. There's one more I'm blanking on. But either way, like I just always have felt like you guys have really like tapped into like doing things that maybe bands wouldn't expect you to do. Like I think a Frau Frau one especially is just like, that's one of my favorite records of all time. And I remember when you guys did, I was like, really? How are we doing this? And like you said, it stays so much. It stays true to what the actual vibe and the character of that song, but through your prism, that it's like, it's just hard not to enjoy it if you're a fan of the original, because it has all the DNA of it still in there. Just kind of.
I was bumping that record hard for a long time. Like that's pretty much all I was listening to.
Yeah.
So, that definitely wanted to do it justice. I wouldn't do a cover, didn't do it justice. We have some covers that we've been messing around with. I feel like we're pigeonholed to this like girl pop cover thing now. So like,
Bjork.
No, not Bjork. I've thought about Bjork. I thought about Fiona Apple. I thought about like
that'd be a good one.
Apple, dude.
I've tried to work some of it out. It's just
Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, Sarah
Joni Mitchell,
McLachlan.
dude.
I don't think that's the same. Like a Britney Spears or like a.
It's pretty much the same. Joni Mitchell, Britney Spears.
Same thing.
What do you think makes a great cover? And around the room, what are some of your favorites?
I think what makes a great cover is when you're listening to the song and the band has made it their own, right? If
I agree.
if the band has made it their own, and you see as much of the band as you do see of the other musician or the other the original songwriter, right? I think you've done the cover justice. I've seen a lot of the times when somebody's playing a song and they're playing a cover and they're playing it so goddamn good, but it sounds so much like the original that it's like, dude, okay, now you're just being a cover band, you know, like you just like, it's not.
Or I don't really like the opposite either. I don't like when bands like take a cover song and they like restructure it, like it messes with it too much. Like I think we hit that sweet spot of like, yeah, it's the right song because it like fits in the sound when you play this riff like this, or it's just how you structure the guitar, how you're going to do it. Are you going to do power chords? You're going to do single chord stuff. I think that plays a part, but like if you could just find a great song and inject your sound into that song without changing anything, that's a good cover. Like if you can't do that, then maybe not. But like my favorite cover that I've ever heard is probably there's this dude called Obadiah Parker, I believe his name is. He does like acoustic covers, and this was like back in like 2005, but he did a cover of like Idiotech from Radiohead. That's so good.
On acoustic?
On acoustic. It's amazing. And he did a cover of Hey Ya by Outkast, which was like beautiful. And I was like, and he does a bunch of covers, but those two I think I burned them on like LimeWire, and I don't know how I came across them, but they were just so good. And I remember like really loving those, and he didn't change much. Like he like sang it better and sang it prettier. Like he sang the Outkast one all beautifully, and like it was kind of the same tempo, but he didn't like slow it down to make it like this drawn out thing. He like did it the same, but like just sang it better and like made it folky, and it was kind of like the same tempo, nothing changed, but it just sounded great. And that's kind of like what inspired me for the Frau stuff, was listening to those covers.
I think my favorite cover all time is probably it's a split record, and it's Alkaline Trio and Hot Water Music. They each did each other's songs, and that is one of the most magical albums I've ever heard.
Hot Water's version of Radio is
just
the
so
fucking best. I like
so amazing,
like
bro.
Hot Water
Like
music,
just tell you right now, and I think the best Hot Water song ever written's on that split too. So yeah, no, that's special.
Yeah, that's a great one. And the Kelly Clarkson Day to Remember, that was a great
That was a good one.
That was a great cover.
Such a good one.
I'll probably get shit from everyone here. This isn't my favorite cover. It's just the one that I come back to the most because it's so ridiculous. But it's King of Pain by Mudvayne. They covered that song. And it's fucking wild.
Is it what?
It's worth listening to. It's an interesting cover for sure.
That question is so hard to answer because it's one of those things that I'm going to look at this later and be like, why didn't I say this and this and this?
Oh my god, that is the best cover of all time.
So okay, that is
Alien Ant Farm. Is that what I heard?
Smooth Criminal, Alien Ant Farm. That is great.
Yes, dude.
But sadly,
I'm happy you brought up King of Pain because King of Pain, Alanis Morissette, is freaking incredible. Better than Mudvayne.
I think Alanis Morissette. That's what I think.
Johnny Cash, 9 Inch Nails.
That's one I was going to mention. Perfect Circle. Imagine.
Oh yeah, dude. That's a good one too.
You Really Got Me. Oingo Boingo is another great one.
All Along the Watchtower.
So, I mean, I'm going to think of some other ones later.
Bold as Love, John Mayer.
John Mayer, Bold as Love. That is a fantastic one.
That's better. It's better. It's a better one.
Throw a deep one out that a lot of people don't know. Mouth for War by this band Disharmonia Mundi. It's Speed from Soilwork and like a bunch of like his friends, and they did a cover of Mouth for War, but just think down tuned and like more metal like that.
Wow.
With Speed doing the vocals, and it's like the closest to hearing Pantera in a completely different way than you'll ever hear, because it's like it has those same riffs, but they're like sludgier and kind of a little slower, just a little bit more ass kicking, and you're like, this just fucking rips. And people can't usually pull off Pantera, in my opinion. So Planet Caravan.
Anymore.
That's true. Well, half of them are dead. So the other, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say my real answer would probably be The Man Who Sold the World by Nirvana.
Okay, that's a good one. I found one somewhat recently in like the last year or so. I used to do this thing where I created a Twitter that I would only use while I was getting high, and then I would just essentially make a playlist. But I didn't follow it. I clearly don't know the logins for it either, which is very on brand. And I would just, whatever I was listening to, I would just kind of curate a playlist like in real time and explain why I like this song or something about the song. And I stumbled across this cover by this guy from The Voice, Jorgen Dahl-Mo. It's like from The Voice somewhere overseas. And he does this cover of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark that I'll never not hear these lyrics the same, because you think of Dancing in the Dark and it's kind of this upbeat anthem, and it feels this certain way. And you think of the Courtney Cox video and all this stuff. Like there's this what your mind thinks of when you grew up with this song, and the way he strips it down to just an acoustic, and it's so much more blue collar and heartbreaking the way he sings it. Like if you can get through it without crying, like you're a better man than me, because there's just no way. But it reminds me of like how Johnny Cash doing Hurt like really flipped that song that you already knew was painful and very morose, and just somehow drew it more into your like feelings where you're like, fuck man, like this dude's dying, and like he knows what this song's really about, and he's really tapping into that feeling.
All the crazy shit that Rick Rubin's ever done, dude,
Johnny Cash album,
however he captured that man's voice and what he did. I mean, that is so stripped down and nothing, and is probably the most emotional fucking song I've ever heard in my life. You know, like it's one of them. I mean, it hits like that song is insane, dude. It's so insane.
It's so good.
I couldn't imagine writing a song and then having someone else cover it, and everyone's like, that's the better version.
Yeah.
I mean, but the Nine Inch Nails version is fucking amazing.
No, yeah.
I legit, I mean, nobody's going to write a better Smooth Criminal than Michael Jackson, but Alien Ant Farm did a fucking great job, dude. I mean, and they made it their own. So that's pretty incredible.
That was such a bummer though, because I remember really loving that album, Movies and like Attitude, and like again, like the playing on it, the production on it. Like there's just, I remember when that kind of like, that's kind of where the inspiration for the question I had for Toxic, because it's like I always think of that record because like I remember when Movies came out, I was like, that's a fucking great song. Yeah. And then they like redid the video after the success of Smooth Criminal and kind of got a second bite at that single again. And then people were like, oh, this song's cool. This album's cool. And it's like, well, it always was. It just took you a more easier way to get into it.
It's so good, dude.
I mean,
Attitude is like the fucking song.
Oh my God.
What a riff. I can't ever play it right, but what a riff.
It was like Glassjaw and Alien Ant Farm, dude. Oh my God.
Wow. More of this now is just going to be just bullshit questions because I was thinking of them and thought maybe they would come up with fun stories. What is something that people romanticize about the era that actually wasn't great?
I think the like I call them the RAR kids, like scarves and they look like cats and shit. Like,
yeah,
that was never a thing until like later. I mean, there were like kids that like, there was literally people that like were trying to do the hair that bands were doing, like 18 Visions or whatever, and they just kind of did it shitty. And then it kind of like turned into this thing over time. But like people think that's what it was, and it was not that. Like it was never that. It was very like, I think on the West Coast side, especially, like it was very like GQ. Like if you were having spiky hair, it was done very meticulously, and like it was definitely not the RAR kids. Yeah, but I think people like link like, you know, Stripe, Hot Topic, fingerless gloves, and like
none of that was happening.
Yeah.
Like
that happened like 2007, 2008.
Yeah, that was like but like that's automatically linked to like My Chem, and My Chem, like I feel like their image turned into that over time. But like when they started, like Gerard would come out with like the, you know, he would do like the line, the Blade Runner, like the line.
How you guys were earlier.
Yeah, Daryl Hannah's part, but like it wasn't like this whole thing. And he was wearing like, you know, jackets that he got from like the like
Goodwill.
Leather jacket,
Army Navy store or whatever.
It wasn't. there was, I mean, when we grew up, you know, you're a poser, right? So like if you're a poser, you're a Hot Topic punk, and we could tell by the studs on your belt, bro. Like we know, dude.
They're
Like
too flat.
yeah, they're too flat. Like they're not the real metal ones. They'll fall out. I could pull that thing out, dude. Like I know, but
that's how our high school was, man.
Like so, most of that shit, it's like goth, right? Like that.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like goth blended into like emo. It all just became this like
This
amalgamation
thing.
of stuff. And like,
And truthfully, emo. When I think of emo, I think of
Dashboard.
like, not even.
I was
that.
gonna say
I
Sunday
think
Day
of, like,
Real Estate and stuff like
Emo
that.
And like fucking.
Yeah.
I
mean, but we weren't into that stuff like in high school. We didn't listen to like.
But that's
emo,
what I.
like,
Well, that's what I think of fucking emo.
Like Braid. I think of Braid because
Yeah.
I was into Braid like early on when I was like okay.
Sunny Day Real Estate. They're fucking emo, right?
Yeah, but I didn't listen to Sunny Day Real Estate. When I was yeah, I mean, the first like emo shit I got into was like Braid and Dashboard, like Swiss Army Romance.
So none of that was like neon fucking fishnets on your fingers, dude.
No, definitely
Head
not.
Automatica to some kids.
Okay, well, but they were dressed really sharp.
Yeah.
for sure.
They were kind of doing that mod thing that was kind of happening with like the Strokes and like all of them.
I think
God.
Blood on the Dance Floor ruined it. For
Yeah. Oh my
everybody.
god. Maybe that
Well, they ruined a lot of things in other ways too.
that band really destroyed a lot of things, especially my desire to play music anymore.
Oh my god.
I knew that would trigger Joe. I just wanted
Wow,
to trigger
dude.
to give you a Joe trigger. moment.
That thing. Good God. What was that? Well, I think we were living some of that too. Yeah. We took out Attack.
Yeah, but Attack was like. I mean, at the time we were like, "What are we doing? We have auto tune on."
What's
like-
happening over
It's like a thing,
Forever the
like,
sickest kids.
Yeah, like what are we doing here?
Oh
guys?
yeah. We didn't understand, but
We didn't. Yeah,
yeah.
but music was. I was like, how is that ever cool? Like fucking blatantly using auto tune live in your rock band. Like, how is that ever going to be?
but
cool?
now he's in Bill Murray, so
Yeah.
we're doing pretty damn good.
they're not using auto tune like that.
No.
Though.
No, he's not. Who would have known?
Or if he is, it's very obvious
Same
for the
thing about
effect.
Fucking T-Pain, bro. They don't even know. That boy's got a voice on him. He could sing.
Dude,
sing.
T-Pain's
Back when
amazing.
Caleb Shomo was playing keyboard,
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
just hyping it up.
just hype it.
Maybe. So this would have been probably you guys played like the first iteration with like Austin before everyone broke off and made all the other bands.
Yeah, it was their very first
First
national tour.
Tour, yeah. You know that another band that was their very first fucking tour was wasn't Attack. It was we took them out. They came from England. Who they're huge.
Oh, yeah,
Rolling Stones?
No,
they're the homies. I can't.
no,
remember.
Alexander.
Oh, yeah,
Asking
Asking
Oh,
Alexander.
asking.
Yeah,
Was that
So-
the same tour?
same tour, bro.
Yeah, they were both like it was their first American run.
You went out with 2 AA names. That's interesting.
Yeah. 2 AA names, and we Confide was on one of them. I
think Confide was on that same tour too.
Wow,
And then it was Maylene and us.
gosh, there were some
Or
weird times.
Maylene headline, we were main support. That was a fucking great tour.
That was a different tour, though. That was a different.
Was
that-
it?
Yeah, we headlined the
The attack one.
yeah.
This is starting to
the
feel like
Maylene headline.
this is starting to feel like the Mars Volta story all over again.
yeah.
To get into it.
Uh-oh.
What is a trend from back then you don't think should ever come back?
Blood on the dance floor. That garbage.
I think early days. Let's see. What's a sweatbands? Remember we were wearing sweatbands?
I like that. I could get.
See, you started the RAR movement.
Tom.
I was wearing sweatbands though.
I feel like Sugar Cult kind of started that too back in the day. With the-
Everyone, Avril Lavigne was doing it.
Oh, she had the tie.
Yeah, Joe doesn't get credit for it. Avril Lavigne. Maybe you know what? That's kind of where that's weird because that's where that started. Like Avril Lavigne,
Mallcore type shit, yeah.
Mallcore, like
yeah,
the stripy.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
that's.
And that
That's
was
where-
early. That was early on too. But like,
Is she emo?
I don't know how that
Oh, yes.
Emo.
bled into like what we were doing and like ours-
Because it bled on the dance floor. We already covered that.
fuck, you know
Oh,
what?
yikes.
You know what?
did
You're right.
there?
You know
See
what?
what you did?
It's pretty good.
And Avril Lavigne, she apparently died. We don't know.
Really? What happened?
Have you heard that?
Oh, you know that story?
He's replaced.
Yeah,
Oh, place.
By the same person that replaced Paul McCartney?
by the same person that's in Blood on the Dance Floor. That's actually
Very
Avril Lavigne.
Different hair?
They split the time.
Yeah. And Jim Carrey.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Are there any fun conspiracies about like or random rumors that you guys have heard about yourself over the years?
Ourselves? No,
Yeah.
there's steamy fanfic out with me and Joe in it.
I've been looking for it. I've been fucking digging.
You're coming after the what is it? Fucking Danzig and God, I can't think of his name. The guy from Black Flag. Rollins, the Henry Rollins fanfic that goes out.
Yeah, Joe and I got some juicy fanfic out there. I remember our girlfriends were all mad because like at the time, remember there was like girls posting that they were our girlfriends.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
like, they would tell tour stories, and it was like a MySpace blog or whatever, and they were getting all pissed, like reading it, like what the fuck? They were on tour with us too. And we're like, what are you mad about? Like, obviously
You're
it's not
right
real.
here.
You're right here.
What are you
Yeah,
talking? Just got
You to whip out
posted.
your sidekick and show them that you don't have any photos on your sidekick.
Oh,
So silly, but hilarious. But yeah, there's some good stuff out there.
So no other than that, no salacious rumors or anything in your
No.
career.
I think we've always been pretty loudmouth and open, especially like doing interviews back in the day. We were just fucking fools. Like,
you can't take yourself too seriously, bro. Like
Yeah.
your shit just is stupid. It's music. Let's have fun.
we
That's
didn't
it.
listen to like PR people, even when we were on a major label. Like, we weren't buttoned up. We
And
were
you
never,
can
like-
tell.
Yeah, we were never gonna hold back. Like, if we have an opinion, we're gonna say our opinion. But like, everyone needs to know it's just our opinion. Like, it doesn't, there's no conspiracy around it. It's not like shocking that people don't like a certain thing or don't like this. Like, we're allowed to say what we want to say. So
We're allowed to say that Under Oath made the fucking best version of And Don't Forget to Breathe I ever heard in my life.
It's true.
So,
It's true.
yeah, I'm allowed to say that. Why not? They're fucking.
There is a rumor. There's a new rumor though that
What?
that a lot of people are talking about, and it's about Kyler.
A
Oh,
lot of
About me.
what about his dong size?
It's about that he's packing.
Oh yeah, he's packing. He wore some like weird sweat shorts.
Can we? Did you just hit him with that, man? He had a hard time getting that through airport security. I'm telling you, okay?
We had to check it, and we were like,
Yeah.
Another
I wouldn't
$50.
know, dude. But boy,
You and Ryan Neff need to hang out then.
smuggling a Diet Coke in them sweatpants, doggy.
It's just been nonstop.
Two
I'm
Diet
never
Cokes,
wearing
dude.
sweatpants again, dude. I'm never wearing.
He's got the
sweatpants.
2-liter in there, dude.
That's why you got the trash bottle of Diet Coke right in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
My wife loves Diet Coke, and she tells me that the bottles are the worst, and it's the cans or pretty much fountains first,
Yeah,
then
I
the
was
cans.
with this. I wanted the
The
can.
bottles always smell like mildew on the top when you take the caps off. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm
I'm a can guy.
I'm a Diet Coke connoisseur myself.
I'm a can dude.
I like
God damn you, Nick.
yeah.
I can't wait for people to go back and hear the name I dropped as someone who has a big fucking dick too.
Our record name, our album name is going to be Kyler Fucks, and it's just going to be a picture of his dong. And
So you're gonna go the typo negative approach to slow deep or was it slow deep and hard? It's just a close up.
It's going to be
Spinal Tap
Joe
record.
on all fours and all leather with a ball gag. Kyler's dick. lick my left palm.
Can't wait for that Blue Chew sponsorship to come your way.
Oh,
We've been
Kyler's
trying
gonna
to-
be doing that
We're
one.
trying to get it. He's like, do you need a lot of blood to fill up your dong? Me too. Take a bullshit.
Just look at the difference.
I hate all of you so much.
Static Lullaby sweatpants with the bulge included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I touched it from the garage. That's when
Static Lullaby sweats with a cock pocket included.
It's gonna be like that scene from Dodgeball where he like pumps it up.
If you could dodge a wrench.
Stuff.
I'm not.
If someone,
Yeah.
it almost feels very disingenuous to ask this question now, but if someone discovered the band today for the first time, what is one song you think that they should start with and why?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's tough.
I mean, to like explain it all. I mean, I guess like I would still point to something off and Don't Forget to Breathe.
I'd say Love to Hate
Yeah, Love to Hate. I think so too.
or Shooting Star.
I think Love to Hate is like
you understand what's going on.
can be a representation of like where we can go. And there's like some heavy. It's not enough heavy, but I don't know.
Some
Shooting
heavy
Star's
in it.
got some heavy.
Some heavy.
I think you get what the band's all about with Love to Hate.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I see what's happening here. This guy's singing, this guy's screaming. They're kind of pissed off. Got this hardcore thing going on, but they got a lot of melody. These guys,
Harmonies in the chorus going on.
vocals, lyrics are pissed off. It's kind of pissed off music, but it's pretty. I think that's what we got going on. I think it's good representation. But off the other records, I would be like, oh, listen to like Underwater Knife Fight, or listen to All Our Al Diable, or Scavenger, or Trigger Happy Tarantula.
The
Collision. We go to 11. That's another thing too. Like, who was that band that I said sounds a lot like La Dispute?
Oh, From Here.
We got out with them.
Me Without You.
Me Without You. They're the original La Dispute, right? And but I think We Go to 11 has some of that spoken word kind of thing. Collision has some of that little thing going on with it too. And
I think that helps set us apart. Like back to an earlier question, just to touch on it, like that helps set us apart with like our songwriting too. I think We Go to 11 was like the weird one and like gave us a little bit of freedom. So it's like don't always expect this straightforward. Like it's never going to be straightforward, and it's never going to be one thing. It's always going to be like our albums are going to be a mix of multiple things. And I feel like I'm super proud of that song that we put it on there, because it has like a weird timing, doing things that we shouldn't have been doing at 19 years old, but we just were messing around and found it and thought it was cool.
I think that's been the crazy thing of seeing like last week my wife and I went and saw Maddie in the Emberlin camp with Emery opening, and it's just so weird to me, like when watching some of these albums, like Never Take, or I think Emery wasn't entirely doing like kind of did a greatest hits, but it's just weird to like look at some of these bands and be like, how the fuck were you guys like teenagers? And you're like, you know what I'm gonna do now? Just kind of slowly start bringing in this like weird like jazzy thing, and then it now turns into a breakdown. And you're like, what the fuck were you do? How did your brain think of that as and I just come back to it has to be like the lack of, because I feel like as you get older, you start going like, oh, that doesn't follow like these like rules, or it doesn't follow this progression and stuff like that. And that's why, like, as much as I know I'll get shit for this, like that's why like Sleep Token I think is lazy songwriting, because people are like, it's so crazy how they go to like a piano ballad into a breakdown. I go, yeah, it's not hard when you literally stop and then come back to it. Like you didn't find a transition to get there, you just stopped and got out of it. Like that's lazy songwriting.
Yeah, hot takes. Sleep Token's lazy.
I think so.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan either.
Compare him to? Well, it was
well, everyone says Bastille. He sounds like the singer of Bastille.
A little bit, yeah.
It's just really funny though.
Like Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Who's Britney Spears?
Joni Mitchell rip off bullshit.
Big fucking rip off of Joni.
I hope that becomes like at least a working title for something. Joni Mitchell is Britney Spears.
Joni Mitchell's underpants.
What?
Ooh.
There'll be a Joni Mitchell title in there
Yeah,
now.
I like that.
Give me ideas.
Cherokee Louise.
I gotta rename it.
Yeah, I think that's what it's gonna be.
Then what is a song? Because I always think this is interesting to kind of look back on. What is the song you thought was gonna just pop off and be like a big hit and never was? And what is the one that did that you didn't expect to be?
I don't know. I feel like all of our. I'm surprised that people like Fossil Tito as a record, to be honest. What a dog shit.
Why? Okay, I guess unpack that. Why do you feel that way? Like, did you always feel that way, or is it just something that progressively has?
Always.
We wrote that record in a month because the label said, hey, we're not going to do the things that we told you we were going to do, so now you have to do this. Write a record. We need it now. We'll find a producer. We didn't know the producer. We didn't like the producer. I mean, we never heard of this producer. We heard of one, maybe two records that he did. We
kicked out our drummer.
They kicked out our drummer, said he couldn't play to a click, and now that drummer plays for My Chemical Romance, and before that he played for Adamantium and Death by Stereo.
Like fucking insane.
just did some stupid shenanigans happened, and
half of the band was so hippied out, dude. They were just so high
Yeah.
and wanting to write King Crimson shit. It's like, bro, we're fucking pissed off hardcore band. Like, what are you doing?
yeah, there was a rift in the band at the time too of like who's writing. It was like, well, I'm gonna write because
Yeah.
I wrote the other one. So like, and we're all gonna like put our parts in, like, you know, like start an idea, I'm gonna take it. But they wanted to go and like two of them wanted to go in their little like
Hippity
cubby,
dippity
yeah,
dip.
their little hippie cubby hole and like do their thing and like write songs and bring them to the table. And there was no time to argue. It was like we just have to we need to get 10 songs before this 30 days is up so we can get into pre-pro with this producer that they've already hired. And
So
nothing came out. Yeah, nothing came out the way I wanted it. Like
It was
and we paid top dollar for bullshit. Like we even got treated like shit. Like I remember getting in there and the engineer, like we're in proper studios and like we have all these guitar amps and he's like, yeah, just play through them and then like, you know, dial them in to, you know, just however you want. And I'm like, what? That's your job. You're the fucking engineer. Like you go dial them in and get the good tone out of it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is my second record ever. I'm not a producer. I don't know if I have the ear for this stuff. I haven't been practicing. I've been on the road for 2 years. Like, I don't know what's going on. Help me dial it in. And he just kind of walked away. And I was like, cool.
Yeah, this clown let me record my vocals with a 58 and a monitor blaring
Yeah.
at myself in the fucking.
We both had monitor. I had a monitor too. And I was thinking, I was like, why do I have a
monitor happening?
I was like, what is this, dude?
Oh, what a
I don't know.
dog
It
shit
was-
time.
He was mad. I think the producer was mad because he wanted to record in upstate New York where he was from. And we said, no, we did the last record in Jersey. We want to do it in Malibu at this studio that we've always wanted to go to at Indigo Ranch, where like
Yeah, Corn.
not did,
Ross
yeah,
Robinson.
Slipknot did some records, like Glassjaw did everything you ever want to know about Silence. So we went there and he was just pissed because it wasn't state of the art. Like they had a guy, literally sparks would start flying and they had this like tech dude that would like roll under the board and be like, 1 second, and like patch things up, get the fire extinguisher. I'm like, shh. Just like, it was awesome. It was like the best experience on that half of it. But like the producer was not happy. I feel like he kind of like tanked our record. Like he told us performances were good that weren't good. Didn't ask for more than like 1 or 2 takes of everything and was just kind of like, let's go. And you know, we have no full proof of that other than how the record sounds and what his other records sound like, but like, and then how our future records sound with Steve, who like cared about our band and like put the love into it. And like I said, we paid top dollar for like not a lot of love and care, and it really pissed me off. And I think one day we may revisit that record in a full like re-record setting. I think that's something that I definitely want to do because people do love those songs, and that's surprising to me, but we'll take it and we'll make it the way we wanted it.
I remember feeling how good I felt with the demos, and I do feel like the demos at that time I was really into. It just didn't translate very well when we actually got in the actual studio. But
Radio Flyer still a banger.
no, but even they destroyed that song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Radio
one's
Flyer
a-
was written like first record though. Like
I mean, yeah,
earlier.
I just like,
With the demo.
how do you destroy Radio Flyer? Like, what the fuck, dude? But
yeah,
I winded up mailing And Don't Forget to Breathe to the studio, and we opened it up, and I said, hey guys, does this new record sound anything like this at all whatsoever? No, it doesn't, does it? Okay, people are gonna love it.
Yeah, and our manager at the time was like, he was just like, everything sounds so incredible and blah. I'm like, dude, you're just blowing smoke. Like, we know it sounds like shit. We know we paid too much money for this bullshit. Like, it's crazy.
That's all
It
right.
was just, it would piss me off.
Well, so kind of again, kind of peeling back like a little bit on the industry side of things, because I know a lot of like younger bands and so forth listen to this, and people who are into stuff like I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just probably due to age and not really feeling like you had much of a say, but like, why not just be like, we're not putting this out? Because I feel like now you guys would definitely be like, we're not doing this.
No,
Like I feel like there'd be pushback.
When major label Matt Pinfields, they told us specifically they were going to re-release and Don't Forget to Breathe. They didn't do that.
On Columbia. That was the plan. And they just
So
kept
they're going to
putting us
upstream
on
it?
the road.
Yeah.
Kept putting us on the road, and we were just like dead. We were on the road like 8 months a year, full time, like 8 months a year. Like we get 3 months off here and there, and they were like 2-week breaks in between tours. Like we had no time off. We lived on the road since we recorded and Don't Forget to Breathe, them even before that. And they just told us one day, hey, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this new record. Let's go. We're doing it 30 days. Get a lot here. You got a lockout space out here. Go do it. We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Forced creativity. That's always great.
Yeah. And like, we didn't have like, recordings on our phones or like something simple like that. Like, there was like 4 tracks that you could buy. We didn't have one. Like we weren't writing on the road. We were on the road playing, and we had no time to like get in the studio and like vibe in and like I said, there was a rift in the band at the time too. It was like the worst possible.
Like you said, hindsight being 2020, I think we could have, if we would have told them, fuck you, we're not releasing this piece of garbage, they would have had no choice. They were so invested, you know what I mean? Like, but we didn't think they could do it. I mean, you're dealing with big people, big dollars, and we were blindsided by it. So,
like I said, there was a lot of smoke blown too, from our management, from our A&R. Like, we just became a tax write-off, which, it's fine.
I always think these stories are kind of interesting because, like, going back to the conversation I had with Nate, when they did Say Hello, he was talking about how they went through, I think he said 3 producers, scrapped basically the whole album's worth of shit because they're like, we don't hear it. This isn't what it is to burn. It isn't what's popular. And then I think they ended up doing that song for the Underworld soundtrack. And they were like, we're pushing that. And they're like, don't, because the record doesn't sound like that. Don't push that song. And then they did, and everyone got Say Hello, and they were like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't sound like the old stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's always interesting to me, like, to hear all these stories through doing this and friends and various bands and so forth, of just like how in some cases they'll tell you, no, they don't hear the hit. They're wasting money. You got to rewrite everything. They're scrapping a whole album until it's what they want. And then there's the adverse where it's like your example, where it's like you have 30 days to fucking write a record and get it out, and you're contractually obligated to. So, and it has to be X amount of songs, X amount of length, and it has to be ready for this upcoming release schedule that we have you on for Q4, where you're going to hop on this tour and all this other shit. And it's like, you've already planned out the next 2 years of my life before I've even had time to sit down, compress, and be inspired to even write. Do you think it just gets turned on like that? Like, fuck you. Yeah, but it's always interesting because, like I said, I feel like they prey on the fact that you guys are younger and you're not going to be more steadfast in your ways as an adult, where you're like, fuck you, I am doing that. Yeah, because it's my name on it at the end of the day.
And there's some blessings that come with that record. Like, if we didn't release that record when we did, we wouldn't have gotten Taste of Chaos. So I think like that, and Taste of Chaos did wonders for us as like longevity of the band, and like getting to come back, break up, come back and do self-titled and do Rattlesnake. So there were some positives with it. Like, if we had shelved it and try to figure something else out, I don't think we would have had it out in time to like coincide with that tour and gotten Kevin Lyman excited about us releasing a new record and getting on that tour and being one of the 6 bands he chose to be on it, on the main stage anyway. So there is that, which is, I'm grateful for that, because that tour was amazing. But yeah, I think like those songs, they definitely were different in the demos. A lot of them are like not A Static Lullaby songs. I feel like they were just kind of like experimental songs, and then we had to like last minute force them into trying to sound like A Static Lullaby. But I think if we spent some time and did a re-record, like, it would really do that record justice, and I think that's something we're going to plan on doing.
I would love to do that.
I don't.
Well, you got to get your monitors back.
Yeah,
make you feel like you're right there.
That thing.
Kind of a fun last question for you guys, because like I said, I kind of like figuring out how people navigate and traverse life things. And as I get older, like, I've been kind of struggling with, where does this show fit into my life? Like, it used to be a weekly thing, and I was really going after it, making a go of trying to get this to be something. now with my job that I have now, it's really hard to figure out where does it fit? How do I make time for it? And if it kind of is coming to an end, I've been wrestling with like, who am I then? Like I've spent 10 years building this thing and it's like become so much of who I am, spending even more time doing various things in the industry of, writing and booking shows and all that kind of stuff, that it's like, well, then what? So question is, you're kind of in this unique experience where you grew up and you kind of chased this dream of being in the band and having success and then it going away. What did it look like in those years where you weren't in a band? Was there a bit of a struggle to figure out who you were then, now that your identity is not tied to this thing that you've been so known for since you were an adolescent?
Yeah, I had a hard time. When I was not able to say, okay, well, you really have to look at yourself. If I'm not Joe from A Static Lullaby, then what am I? Right. And I don't know if you search for, validation in so many different ways, whether it's women or, situations or money or whatever the fuck. And a lot of the times it was really, really hard for me because I did identify myself as that. And I'm going to step back and look at it. But I found that, there was a huge humbling, I guess. I had to walk away from everything. Like I wasn't even listening to music. I wouldn't talk to my friends. I had to stop everything because every little thing that reminded me made me fucking sad, to be honest. Right. But truthfully, I grew so much in that time period that for me today, I appreciate our fans so much more. I appreciate this band so much more. I appreciate my friendship so much more. I truly have an appreciation for what we have more today than I did back then. I'm a better person too, like I think, I was telling my wife the other day, the best thing I ever did was, I didn't date anybody for like 2, 3, 4 years or something. I really felt how to be alone, and being alone and just focusing on my kid and doing that, like that shaped me. So when this came back, I was able to handle it 110% the right way, because I was afraid of it, to be honest. I as much as I wanted every single day, I don't know if I was ready as a human being to even go back to that, but today I appreciate it so much more.
Yeah, I think with me, I did kind of the opposite back then. Like when we first broke up, I think I put myself into situations where people knew that I was Dan from A Static Lullaby and like kept that alive for a long time. Like I would be hanging out and like people would, just like, oh shit, Dan's here, Dan from Static Lullaby. Oh my God. Like, and I would always be in those like social situations and like kind of the crew I was hanging out with, like my closer friends at the time were kind of like that too. Really weird, but we got past that and they actually became like close friends. But that's kind of how those friendships started. I had like the band and those are my friendships and like whatever close friends I had. And then like once the band ended, I like stopped hanging out with all those people. And then I made this like new group of friends that like kept that momentum going for me. And like, I think fueled a lot of like, that fueled a lot of like drinking and whatever. And then once I had my kid, it was just like time to wake the fuck up, like figure it out, get something going, find a job, stop being a loser. And like I quit. I'm the one who stepped away from the band. I think we could have kept going if I didn't step away. And I stepped away for personal reasons. But it's weird that I didn't be more of a recluse about it. I think I did maybe for like a year or so, and then I came out of it. And I don't know why I wouldn't have immediately called Joe. I don't know what my headspace was back then, but it's definitely different. And yeah, definitely went more of a toxic route with it. And didn't become a better person until my daughter was born. So
it's funny, you realize how unimportant shit is, right? it's life's too fucking short, man. Just try and be a good dude, and fucking make pissed off music and have a good time with your boys. That's about what life is, you know. Fucking listen to it. Make sure it's fucking heavy. That's it.
We still party, you know.
Fuck yeah, we do.
We still party, dude.
Michelob Ultras, doggy.
Dude, we slam them.
Slam down.
I was just gonna say, where's the Sunny D, and it'll have to be on the riders for your shows, the Captain Morgan and Sunny D.
I can't do Captain. I'm afraid of diabetes at this old age, so you know.
Oh, yeah. So if Dan and I hang out in my garage past 10 o'clock, it turns into like a 4 a.m. session, and then I have like a 5-day hangover, and so I can't function, and my wife threatens to divorce me. So
we can't hang out. We can't hang out as much as we'd like to.
I don't know, man. There's nothing cooler than being able to do cool shit.
Yeah.
With your friends.
That's it.
With your beds.
Well, you kind of already alluded to new music on the horizon with the songs you've got working on. Obviously, I think you have the tour coming up in July. I assume it's just, are you going to be doing the record as a set, or are you going to kind of do like a hits kind of?
Hits.
Just do a
Very
quick
cool.
banger set.
Banger set.
With some hits and a couple weird ones, a couple oddballs in there for fun. Yeah, I think we're gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I always think this is interesting because, like, before anyone knows like really who your band is, I always feel like the fun thing of going to see like if there's actually like a good local band or someone that's nearby, and they start sprinkling in the new stuff because they're like, well, this is our new shit that we're starting to write and record, and we're gonna play it out live because we just want to get the new thing in there. And I obviously know why a lot of bands after a certain point don't do that, especially in this day and age of like cell phone recordings, and it may not be the final version, but feeling like maybe you might just be like, fuck it, here's a new song just to test it out live.
We don't give a fuck. We'll do it. We haven't really like practiced that song live yet. I mean, we wrote it and we can play it. We just haven't tried and like
legit. It's so funny how we write music nowadays. It's so weird. We could have a whole song done that we've never.
But you've never played live once.
The only time I ever sang that song was in the fucking studio. It's so crazy.
I mean, lyrically, I mean, it's been like that a lot for a lot of songs, like Lip Gloss and stuff. Like we didn't write.
I mean, no, it's crazy that happens, right? Like, I mean. A lot of stuff, I mean, to say, oh, well, we read in the studio. Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. I went and sat on a fucking couch and jumped in the vocal booth, you know? Like,
and then you got to figure it out later.
You figure it out.
I can't do all that.
That's
all right. Anything else you guys would like to plug, or anything you'd like to plug online in general?
Good Guys, Bad Band podcast.
Yes, sir.
We got a podcast. It's just Joe and I and Kyler and Nick behind the scenes asking us questions or playing games, and we're just sticking around. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys enjoy our personalities and how douchebaggy we are, go listen to that podcast.
It's good.
How many episodes you guys had already?
We took a long break because we had the live album. So we've taken like almost 2 months off. I think 2 months off.
We've got 7.
We're about to be up on eight or 9.
Yeah,
I think 8's the next one.
Yeah,
and then we lost some cameras, so we're getting some cameras as we were talking about earlier. Get the setup back, and we'll start filming again here soon.
What have you enjoyed most about this format, this medium?
I mean, we didn't. So we know that like it's a content game these days. You know, like it's a content game, and Joe and I are not. We've tried to force ourselves to be like, hey guys, blah blah blah. You know, we're just not those fucking guys. Like we're not. We're never gonna be those guys. Like, so like the podcast, we just gave it a shot, and just Joe and I just sitting talking, and it's like the most comfortable thing ever. And like
feels natural.
We just kind of tell the history of the band, and then like we figure when we run out of that, we're just gonna talk shit, talk current events, maybe pull up some articles, talk about them, like you know, like just
talk about the good old days.
Yeah, just rap and whatever.
It's really interesting watching their friendship dynamic while they go through the old stories, like reliving it in real time. and the amount of inconsistencies between their two stories is really funny to watch.
And then we remind each other shit. We're both like, "Oh my god!"
It's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
it's great. It's great.
I think that was the fun thing of because I do this and the format is it's typically more, let the host, like the guests be the focal point, not really put a shine on me. And I did one with two of my friends, and the whole point was my one friend was going through a divorce, so I was like, at least it gives you something to look forward to once a week. And it was interesting because like I put it out through like this channel, and so many people were like, your jokes, like you're such a jokey person. I was like, oh yeah, I will try to squeeze fucking anything into a joke. Like,
yeah,
that is me to a T, like especially with my friends because I know them for so long, so I can find random like inside jokes that maybe they've forgotten, and just to get a pop out of them, and that's the whole fucking point. But that's not really what I'm here to do here. Like it would be funny. But I feel like most people would be like, this guy's a dick. He's just trying to make it about himself.
Love it. I love that.
So I always think
I don't know how we would do a guest, like, to be honest. Like, I think
I would love to see that.
That's
Come up
I
soon.
think we're gonna try to have our drummer Chris on because he was in a band called Lorraine Drive back in the day, who were dope, and like kind of bring up Lorraine Drive and have him talk. And I just love to see how much we interject and like just go, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
what about that time that you opened up for us at fucking Jerry's Pizza?
yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
But no, I think this medium is a really fun one, and I think especially with friends, it's something where even if it like satiates no one else other than you, and it just is popping you guys, it's like totally worth it. But that's why I was like, I didn't recall that you had many episodes. Like I was like, I'm pretty sure it's under 10, but just interested to see where it takes you because like the show may start off the way it is, and then in like 5 years when you're like 200 plus episodes, you're like, now we're like a pop culture like The Suit. Like
We're gonna let it go that way. We're gonna let it bloom.
Have you been listening to them?
I checked out I think the first one, but like I said, I started a new job. I have a desk job now, so I'm that fucking dickhead. So I don't listen to anything. It took me about a week to listen to a podcast, just one 1 hour podcast, just on my commute to and from work because I don't have time.
You listened to the first one?
That would have came out about what 4 or 5 months ago, correct?
Yeah, something like that. Like, yeah, 4 months ago.
Super
Because
Bowl.
Yep,
Super
I was gonna say I started my job right around the new year, the end of the last year. So I think it came out, and then I was already like, I can barely keep up with any of the shit I'm listening to. So I'm not trying to add another thing. That's getting old. That's getting old and responsible. Is realizing that you're not going to set yourself up for failure. You just don't even try anymore.
Yep. Hard to get let down when you have no expectations, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's why I was going to say, I was going to make the joke when you were like, yeah, the content game's really hard. And I'm like, I know, I've been here 2 hours and I have nothing to clip because you guys but no, you guys have I've really enjoyed this. Thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule to bullshit with me. And selfishly, I'm going to say, hopefully you guys end up coming to the Midwest. Probably, I would say probably next year would probably be realistic.
We owe it to Chicago at very least, but we'll
Chicago's 3 hours. I mean, just come to Grand Rapids and split the difference.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do the thing.
We'll get out
It
there.
has to be 3 days, so we're gonna have to figure it out. Yeah.
All right, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Detroit. Simple enough.
I don't know about Detroit. We'll skip Detroit and we'll go to somewhere else. But
Well,
St.
there you go.
Andrews Hall is always good to us,
St.
bro.
Andrews Hall is great. Never mind. I love Detroit.
So
that changed it. You're like, one venue. Detroit's all right in my book now.
I forgot.
I'm telling you,
I just
dude,
forgot about
we had
what
some
Detroit
really
was.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
St. Andrews was
people
good.
went off for us there. So a lot of love in Detroit.
But yeah, thank you, John. We appreciate
All right,
it.
John, we out of here, brother.
Gotta go to practice.
Practice.